Hello, and welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm CJ.
And I'm Chip.
And this is our second episode of the week. And we want to be sure that everybody gets them because they're always asking for more and more. And believe me, there's enough news out there for us to bring it to you, and we don't have to write it and make this stuff up. So it's very interesting. So I've had a very interesting time since our last show. I happened to be in City Hall on Thursday to get my dog license. And as I was leaving, I heard a voice call out from behind me to speak with me, and it was our mayor. And we sat down and for a good probably 2 hours, and we discussed some of the issues and some of the events and things going on in Fall River. And it seemed that he feels as though he has it all locked up now. He knows where it's going. And we talked about waste management. We talked about pay as you throw. We've talked about privatization. And he was very non-committal on a lot of those things. But he did say very clearly that we're going to have to seriously look at things like pay as you throw. So, that kind of scared me a little bit. And I kind of told him how the people are feeling. And, trust in government is failing. And it's been failing for a long time. I mean, when you look at the public's trust in the Congress and the Senate, it's like at 27%. So I don't think the mayor and the city council should think they're going to get higher than that. And I don't believe they do know that. But it's really interesting to see where we're going with this. As you remember, I had stated that I had filed a complaint with Housing and Urban Development in regards to the community development block grants. Mike Dion and myself have had phone conversations, and we actually saw each other yesterday. And on Monday at 2 p.m., I will be at the Community Development Agency office at the 4th floor of Government Center, and we're going to sit down and we're going to go over everything line by line. And it may take a few sessions, but I'm going to investigate this totally and make sure that every dime coming to Fall River stays in Fall River, one way or the other. It's going to be interesting to see. People are getting upset, though. I mean, everywhere I've gone so far, I've heard it. And people are watching our show. Oh, and by the way, hello, Mr. Mayor, because we know you watch our show. Thank you for letting me know that yesterday. Doesn't mean that we're going to stop doing our job, because that's important to us. But Chipper, what do you think about all of this bull going on? I mean, this is amazing. And when you confront the mayor with some issues, such as the Kathy Ann issue, I was very surprised. I said to him, I was very surprised you had, she's doing a wonderful job so far. She's doing a great job. And after this first budget, she'll be on solid ground. Maybe that's true, maybe it's not. But, can we hope for the best?
Well, I think we can hope for the best but expect the worst. The fact is that I can't see how we can be on any kind of solid ground when we're still discovering money that we didn't know we had. So how can we run a city and then say at the 11th hour when we're facing a budgetary crisis that we found money that we didn't know we had? I mean, I don't have any money that I don't know I don't have. I have to account for every penny. I have to pay my bills, and I have to know how much I have to pay my bills. I don't mysteriously discover 4 or 5 bank accounts that were dormant for 25 years, as happened some years ago in this city, or now some new monies that we didn't know. There's been a call for a full and independent audit for a very long time. And I don't really believe that anybody has a clue what's going on in this city. I don't think we've ever had a full and independent accounting of what we have. And I think that we need a very simple budget that anybody can read, because we don't need 25 accounts for healthcare as they had in '92 when we audited it. We don't need this complexity. This complexity is to make it difficult to track the money. And as we said here on one of our first shows, if not the first show, when you want to find the truth, follow the money.
That's been a motto of my life. Through all of politics, if you want to find out what's going on, follow the money, and it's going to tell you exactly who's bought by who and who's screwing who, to put it bluntly. And that's a really sad thing that the city can't even sit down and present what's going on, because they don't know. As you said, they find the money. I would love to find that field, because I could use a couple of $1 million here, there, and everywhere. So it was very interesting to see. But I did find out something very interesting, though. Do you know those quarterly reports that the city council had asked for, and they ask all the time on all the capital plans? They're really not that great. And I didn't think they were in the first place. And I did say that. I said that to our mayor, because they're a snapshot of the exact moment in time that they're printed. So we don't know. And the explanation I got was, for instance, I had brought up that there's a $284,000 deficit on the Morton project, but they took money from their overrun that they have to fix North Park. Well, the reason why they have this supposed overrun is that the state held back 5% of the money. And that $2 million should be paid to the city very soon. My problem is this: nowhere on that quarterly report did it say that there was $2 million expected to come in. It's not exactly transparent. And it's questionable, in my opinion. But the explanation I got was this: this is what the city council asked for, and this is what they got. So I would suggest to our city council, not only ask for things, but be very, very specific on how much information you want, because you're only going to get what you ask for. And that's a scary thought, too.
Well, I would suggest to go even further. I don't think they should be specific. I think they should demand all the information. The fact is, if you tell a half-truth, it's also a half-lie. The fact that they're only giving the information that they're required to do rather than full disclosure, to me, is malfeasance on the part of the city. The taxpayers, the city council, require full disclosure. That should have been told. They should have, when they presented that, they should have said, the state is holding back 5%. This is what we're going to get. This is how we freed up the money. To me, that's a little disingenuous to say that, because what it looks like to me is they've still got that in a bank, and if they want to divert that money later on, it'll get lost in the shuffle again. Just as the 1.5 million got put in a city account that was employee money years ago when we filed our initial grievance, and because they have a tendency to lose money. And the reason you lose money is when you don't account for money. And when you only tell half the story, you've forgotten half the other story, and then your memory can deceive you, and we end up running out of money, as we have before. And there's been a constant, there's a constant misrepresentation of what's going on. Just as they said now that the deficit has been reduced. Deficit hasn't been reduced. What he's doing is factoring in the money that he got from the GIC shift and other monies that he's already counting, just as he counted the SAFER grant money as money that the city had when it was not, in fact, city money. And this is the reason we got into the situation we're in. To me, that is not accounting, that is creative accounting, and that's what got us in the mess we're in.
Yeah, we had something like this happen once before with the Boston beer money. Remember that?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
So, I mean, it's just really strange, and I spoke with the mayor at length about this. And, I had brought up several issues, and they go way back to when we first worked together on getting him elected. And the problem is that there are solutions to a lot of these problems. The problem is that nobody is listening to the right people with the solutions, because they're not part of the inner crowd. And I think that's the biggest problem we have in this city. Well, you're not one of these, so we don't want to hear what you have to say, even though what you're saying is absolutely correct and probably a good solution. One of the things that really bothered me this week was the economic development meeting they had yesterday. They had two people who were primary speakers, and that was Rob Mellion from the Chamber of Commerce, a man who doesn't live in Fall River, and Ken Fiola, Vice President of the Fall River Office of Economic Disaster. And both blamed it on Fall River. It's Fall River's fault we don't have jobs. It's Fall River's fault businesses don't come here because the people of Fall River basically, and this is not a quote, but to, shorten it, we're stupid. And in essence, we're right. When you have something like 17% of the people don't even have a ninth grade education, and we have so many high school dropouts, there are jobs out there, we're told. Ken Fiola has said this very clearly. We have jobs out there. The problem is the people in Fall River aren't educated to handle these jobs. So, I mean...
That is absolute equine excrement.
That's what I thought.
From two of the people who have been slinging that excrement for many, many years. Rob Mellion is full of crap. Always has been, always will be. He blames the people. He talks about business breaks. It's his job to be an advocate, and he's not. The statistics make it very clear that I presented in front of the city council. We have a city that's got 2,000 less people. They have 10,000 more businesses. It's about money. Ironically enough, I just saw a documentary on the Great Depression in '29. There are many economists who say that was caused because of businesses trying to cut corners on how much they paid people. Because these economists know that what drives an economy is people spending money. The problem Fall River has is that people have no money. They have no jobs.
True.
And we continue to exacerbate that by increasing their taxes, their water fees, and the cost of living in Fall River. We are anti-business because we are anti-paying anybody, and it's Rob Mellion can kiss my posterior because he is full of baloney.
Well, we've spoke about this before. There's lies, damn lies, and statistics. Okay, but a lot of it is true. We do have an undereducated population, and those who do achieve degrees of an associate, a baccalaureate or higher, like myself and many other people, don't stay here. I mean, and those of us that do, people say we need our heads examined. But I don't think that's the only reason. And I said this very clearly to the mayor, and I've made it clear to other people. Fall River, for the longest time, has never been business friendly. I still believe it's not business friendly. I know when I took a couple of companies into New Bedford, after not meeting a great reception here in Fall River, the mayor set up an appointment in the morning at 9 a.m., walked into the conference room, and every department head was around, telling them this is what we need, this is what we have to have, and gave them the entire plan for a 90-day process to go from purchase of the land to breaking ground. That's pretty convenient. I mean, it makes life easy because you know what you have to do in each step of the process. Is that happening in Fall River? According to the mayor, it is now, but businesses still aren't coming here. The other reason why businesses aren't coming here is we have a school system that's underperforming, it's been underperforming, and it's full of crap. And these megalithic schools that we bought and paid for, and it's still paying for, were ruled out as being effective schools when we started the process of building them. And the schools still continue to build them. And what happened with those schools is, for one school, we'd close 3 or 4 schools and move all those kids into that school, causing classroom bulging, okay? You're overpopulating the classes. People can't learn in that environment. And that's why our school system is doing so poorly. But we've already done this. What can we do to fix it?
Well, I'm going to tell you something. People have got, and granted, education is a factor for people moving into the city. And there are many factors, but the bottom line is it gets down to the very simple fact of you get what you create. And what's happened is we drive businesses away because we don't have people that can spend money. And every time a business doesn't come here, that's less jobs. And the more we can attract, it's a catch-22, because we have to bring business in to attract them. And then if we get businesses, we can employ more people. And if we employ more people, they have more money to spend. And I don't care what the educational system is. If somebody can come in here and open up a restaurant and make money, they're going to come here and open up a restaurant
Exactly.
to make money.
Exactly.
And the fact is, we can't do that when we have billboards attracting people who are on welfare to come into the city, and that's what we attract. But we don't have jobs. The fact is, we have 4,000 businesses as opposed to 14,000 in Newton. And look at our income. It's about money. It's about jobs, but it's a catch-22, because we can't ever fix this problem until we stop taking money out of everybody's pocket. And we drive everybody out, because everybody now, maximum increase for taxes under Prop 2.5, an increase in the water fees, increases in the fees, cutting their health care for people. They're running out of this city as fast as their feet will carry them.
True.
And then you want to fix this? You want to fix this? You don't want to fix this, because all the Rob Millions and all the Fiolas in the world trying to say it's this, it's that, it's the other thing. No, it's not. It's the fact that you people will fight against the minimum wage increase. You people will fight against everything, and then you'll blame the people and the city for not bringing businesses in. Well, damn it, nobody's going to come in here if their business won't make a profit. And you have to have people making money in order to get a profit.
I agree. And, raising taxes, you're taking the money out of the citizens' pocket. So if it's coming out of their pocket to go to the city, they don't have money to keep businesses alive. So they have nowhere to go.
All you got to do is look at Taunton. It's about half the size of Fall River. You get off at 140 or Route 44. You run down those streets, and there's 25 restaurants on both of those roads in the first 2 miles. Look at Fall River. What have we got? Nothing. We
Dunkin' Donuts on every corner.
We can't sustain a decent restaurant.
I know.
We sustain Portuguese restaurants because they get good food very cheap. And then after that, what have we got? Chinese restaurants and pizza joints. We've got 1 or 2 restaurants in the city. You've got McGovern's, and they survive a lot on their banquets and things. But I mean, look at the difference. A community that's half our size has far more businesses. And why? Why do they have more businesses? Because guess what? Every one of those restaurants on Route 140 and 44 employ people. And those people, when they get their paycheck on Friday, go out and spend the money. That's why there's more stores and more restaurants and more businesses in Taunton that's half our size than there is in Fall River.
And you look at Seekonk and Dartmouth. Seekonk is thriving with businesses. Dartmouth is thriving with businesses, okay? And again, all these people are working, and there's money to be spent. So it makes it very interesting. We spoke on the Richard Urban Show this week with school committee member Joe Martin, and he almost took me to task, but he says, you don't seem to understand those jobs are paid for out of grant money. Because you and I both believe, dean of students, dean of chicken pox, dean of, lunch plates. I mean, everyone's got a dean job somewhere. They got all these magical, mystical jobs, and nobody's teaching. We're all managing. We're all administrators. So I asked the mayor. Joe Martin said that these people are paid for with grants. What happens when those grants run out? And guess what happens? They get rolled into the school department payroll, so they don't even lose their job. But the grants run out on the fire department, and they lose their job. I got a problem. Do you have a problem with that?
Oh, of course, but this is the old deal. Just like the neighborhood liaison or whatever that job is that he made for his old school chum, and the assistant's job, when he leaves, that job will then become a political patronage job. And it's the patronage jobs never leave. The jobs that really provide the essential services to the public always leave, just as our DPW is looking at leaving. And, it's ironic, but I remember a course I took in college, and we were talking about civil service jobs and jobs of patronage. And the greatest patronage job I ever heard of, and the professor said it, and I have to agree, was eliminated in 1954, I believe, in England. And you know what that job was, CJ?
Didn't he watch?
He was to stand on the white cliffs of Dover and watch for Napoleon Bonaparte's invasion fleet. And that job was finally eliminated in 1954. So get out there and find out what year Napoleon Bonaparte died, and you tell me if that isn't the epitome of patronage. But that's the problem we have in this community, that we have these jobs in that giant vacuum cleaner that we call a school department, and they create all these positions under the guise that somebody else is paying. But then when those people start paying, we pay.
That's right. And, you know, it truly is sad. And the problem is that you have people on the school committee which will stand up and say, this isn't right. And then you have what now is the majority of the school committee that say, who cares? And, you know, that's what's happening in our city council, too. We've become a divided government in Fall River, more divided than it's ever been before. I mean, the city council is divided 5-4. The school committee is divided 3-4. And even within those divisions, there are divisions. So, I mean, you got more division going on than anything else. And people don't want to answer questions. And people are like, that's just the way it is. Why does it have to be that's the way it is? What's going on? Are we all just a bunch of lemmings walking to the end and jumping off?
Well, yeah. Well, unfortunately, I think we are, but maybe this is the wake-up call. People are fed up, and the fact is that what's happened is, as in Washington, we've allowed our government to become partisan, and even on a local level, not by party, but by affiliation with either they line up with the mayor or they're against the mayor. And that's wrong, because they should have one allegiance, and that's to the people, to the taxpayers. And when we have a government that is fiscally irresponsible and has spent this kind of money over the last 4 years, had a SAFER grant for 4 years when they knew that that grant was temporary, and they were told that this was a grant that they had to find the funding for at some point in time, and doesn't do it. When we let things go the way we do, and then create more and more jobs, and inflate the budget till it's loaded with pork, and then when the crap hits the fan, our response is to balance the budget on the backs of the taxpayers and the workers and take health care away from people who spent their life serving this city. It is not only contemptible, it is morally reprehensible, and it is absolutely disgusting to see this. And when city councilors call the radio and condemn the other city councilors who are upset and want to try to make this government leaner and more efficient and not balance this city's budget on the backs of the taxpayers and the workers, that to me is a sign that things have to change, and they have to change now.
And you know, I spoke about that also during the city council meeting, because it was just ridiculous to have that happen. It honestly was ridiculous. I couldn't believe that happened. And I was like, hey, what can you do? No discretion, calling out another city councilor, accusing them of things, and then expecting the city to say, oh yeah, well, you know, you're wonderful, you're fine, that's okay. We can't have that type of division. We can't. And we cannot solve our problems if we're all divided. And the divisions aren't only in our government, they're within our own communities, within our own neighborhoods, and sometimes within our own families. And we have to stop that. We have to pull together as a city, and we have to say to the mayor, say to the city council, and say to the school committee, I'm tired of your crap. I'm tired of it. Here's the poop bag. Fill it up yourself. Don't dump it out on us. That's what you have to do.
Yeah, you're right. But I mean, we don't want to seem that we're being, you know, we're speaking kind of out of both directions. We are, you know, there should be an agreement, but that doesn't mean that we don't have differing opinions. But the key is the core of our government should be that every elected official is looking at the good of the people, to serve the people.
I agree.
It should not be The disagreement should not be because they want to support political patronage. It should be, we have disagreements, and sometimes disagreements are good, because then sometimes we can look at maybe even a better solution out of the two opposing views. But those views should be about how we're going to make better government, more efficient government, government that will help the people and help the city. And we can't help this city by blaming the victims.
True.
And the city and the taxpayers and the city employees are the victims.
I agree with you. I agree with you there. And, you know, in response to that, to also, you know, when I sat down with the mayor, he was very clear that he wanted to know what happened between us. You know, we were going for the kumbaya bit, I guess. And I said, nothing happened between us. I said, understand something, Mr. Mayor. And a lot of people in Fall River have a problem with this concept, too. Business is business, personal is personal, never the twain shall meet. I can sit there and argue with you about your job, your politics, and after I'm done, say, let's go to 99 and have dinner. Let's go grab a drink. I don't have a problem with that. And maybe if a lot of more people did that in government, we'd have an effective government for the people and stop personalizing everything.
And I totally agree. I think that, you know, as much as I don't particularly care for lawyers, especially our lawyers in the city, but and their ineffectiveness, but, you know, the fact is that attorneys can go into the courtroom and attempt to represent their clients to the best of their ability and go hammer and tong, and then afterwards they can go out and have a drink because they realize it's what they're being paid for. Well, our politicians are being paid to represent us. The last time I checked, this was a republic because we pledge allegiance to a republic. This is not a democracy. Actually, I believe it's more a constitutional monarchy because I think politicians, especially in Boston and Washington, are monarchs. They're not representatives. But that's my own opinion, and we can get on that on another show on the federal level, but at a state level, but we should do a show on that. But the reality is that they are representatives of the people. They should be doing the people's business and not the mayor's business or the mayor's friend's business or one of their friends' business. They should be doing the business of the people. And when they don't do the business of the people, it is up to we, the people, to get them the hell out of there.
That's it. And do you have a closing quote for us today? Well, you always do. So,
well, I will quote one of my favorites, and I will do it. It's Abraham Lincoln, because we see what's happening to the health care of the employees. Abraham Lincoln once said, you know, all that harms labor is treason to America. A man who tells you he loves America but hates labor is a fool.
Well, and on that note, thank you for watching. We'll see you next week here on Spindle City Straight Talk. Have a wonderful day.
And let's get them all.